I posted something, love heals all wounds. And someone said, no, it doesn't. Right. Let me clarify what I meant by that. If you're wounded by others, if you've been wounded by others, if you've been hurt, humiliated, disappointed, rejected, abandoned, whatever it might be, when I say love heals all wounds, I don't necessarily mean love the person that has hurt you. I don't think that's, although in the Bible it says, love thy enemies as you would thy friends, so I'm not against that. I think that's a very high spiritual position to take. But what I really mean is, and I do mean you should try to forgive others despite how they've hurt you. I really totally believe in unconditional forgiveness as a way to heal yourself of victimhood, anger, resentment, bitterness, and unhappiness. But so that's kind of what I mean when I say love heals all wounds. If you love yourself, if you choose to forgive others despite how badly they've treated you, doesn't mean you're a doormat, doesn't mean you need to hang around them, doesn't mean you are inviting more abuse. But if you forgive others, you are releasing yourself from an emotional prison. If you don't forgive others, if you don't try to find a way to let go of your resentment and bitterness, you're just keeping yourself stuck in resentment and anger and pain and victimhood long after being victimized by the other person. It's just not smart. When you take an adamant position like this person did, like, no, it doesn't. Being loving and forgiving it doesn't work. Of course it's not going to work when you insist it's not going to work. But if you keep an open mind and you keep open the possibility that by letting go of anger, letting go of resentment, letting go of harsh judgment, trying to be forgiving, accepting, and loving of others despite how they're behaving, if you try to keep an open mind and consider that there might be some value to that, and you just practice it, you try practicing it for a while, you might see results. You might discover that you're happier. You might discover that there's more inner peace. You might discover that you're gliding through your life with less obstacles and potholes in your path. You might discover that more people want to cooperate with you and help you rather than hurt you. You just might. But to shut down like positive ideas because of your bad experiences is a mistake. Because you're basically your sampling is one. What's happened to you? Or as opposed to like a lot of other people out there who have employed techniques of forgiveness, acceptance, love, compassion, giving the benefit of the doubt, turning the other cheek, forgiving and trying to release your own pain through the process. People have seen positive results. People have been happier. Just because you've tried and failed at it doesn't mean it doesn't work. Perhaps you haven't done it the best way that you could. Perhaps you thought you were being forgiving or accepting or loving, but deep down you were still harboring resentment and bitterness and passive aggression, and which is totally counterproductive to the whole idea. So rather than just negate something right away, don't assume something won't work just because your bias tells you it won't, or just because your experience tells you it won't. Oftentimes our experience is not a good guide for what works or doesn't work. Because a lot of times people say that they've forgiven somebody, but they're still harboring resentments. And so they say, well, I forgive the person and we still had problems. Well, did you really forgive them, or did you just say you forgave them, but deep down you were still angry and hurt and resentful and bitter? Well, if the latter is true, then you didn't forgive them. People ask me, how do you know if you forgive somebody? Well, if there's still an emotional charge, if you're still angry and bitter and aggressive towards that person, if you still have harsh feelings towards that person, if you still, then you haven't forgiven them. When you forgive them, then you really are free. And then when you think about them, you don't go into this negative charged mode of resentment, anger, and bitterness. If you do, that means you haven't really forgiven them and you need to try again. And remember, we forgive others for our own peace of mind. We don't forgive others so that they have a get-out-of-jail-free card. We don't forgive others to make them feel better. We forgive others to make us feel better. This is in my book, Forgive to Win. This is in all of my videos and podcasts. This is the through line. Forgiveness is a very powerful force that can bring you happiness, but you have to do it as best you can, unconditionally and without exception, as much as you can. And when you do this, you are releasing a burden on yourself. If you try it sincerely, I believe you won't be disappointed.